New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Akshay Dungre, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US envoy to leave for Islamabad for fresh round of talks with Iran. Tehran says no negotiation with the Americans on the agenda as Iranian delegation lands in Pakistan. Venezuela-Colombia pledged military cooperation on first Maduro visit. Post-Maduro visit, a border security, industrial cooperation and trade also on agenda at the Caracas meeting. OpenAI CEO apologizes to Canadian town for not reporting mass shooters troubling ChatGPT account. And in sports, two-time reigning champion Carlos Alcaraz withdraws from the French Open, world number 2 to miss title defense due to wrist injury. Updates on West Asian conflict first. US envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner will be flying to Pakistan on Saturday for Iran talks. Talking to media, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Witkoff and Kushner would head to Pakistan on Saturday to engage in talks with representatives from the Iranian delegation. She further added that Vice President J.D. Vance, who led a first round of negotiation in Islamabad 2 weeks ago that concluded without a deal, would not be joining for the time being, but was on standby to fly to Pakistan if necessary.
The President was flexible in granting an extension of the ceasefire throughout this time. The President has decided to dispatch Special Envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner back to Islamabad. The Iranians want to talk. They want to talk in person, and so the President is, as I've said many times to all of you, always willing to give diplomacy a chance. So Steve and Jared will be heading to Pakistan tomorrow to hear the Iranians out. We hope progress will be made, and we hope that positive developments will come from this meeting.
Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry on Saturday stated that no talks are scheduled with the United States in Islamabad during the ongoing visit of a delegation led by Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghaei in a social media post said that a delegation led by Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has arrived in Islamabad for talks with Pakistani leaders amid efforts to promote regional peace. He also clarified that no direct meeting is planned between Iran and the United States during the visit. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Islamabad on the first leg of his three-nation visit on Friday. Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghaei is also accompanying him. During his regional visit, the Iranian foreign minister will also visit Muscat and Moscow. Earlier, Araghchi in a social media post said the purpose of his visit is to closely coordinate with Iran's partners on bilateral matters and consult on regional developments. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said legislation will be introduced in July to ban the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as the government moves to counter what it describes as threats from Iran-linked groups. Speaking during a visit to Kenton United Synagogue in London, Starmer said the proposed law would be brought forward when Parliament resumes in the next session. The visit came days after an attempted arson attack at the synagogue on April 18th. The Prime Minister also highlighted recent incidents attributed to groups allegedly backed by Tehran, including an attempted arson attack on the synagogue on the torching of ambulances belonging to a Jewish emergency response group in London. Venezuela and Colombia agreed to boost military cooperation against criminal groups during Colombian President Gustavo Petro's landmark visit, the first by a foreign leader since Nicolas Maduro's removal. Petro said the joint military effort will be aimed at freeing border areas from the mafias engaged in range of illegal businesses. Venezuelan interim president Delcy Rodriguez said both countries are working on military plans and setting up systems to share information and strengthen intelligence cooperation.
We have undertaken a very serious, very comprehensive approach to what the fight against criminal gangs and transnational crime groups must be. Both countries have proposed developing military plans for the territory of Colombia and the territory of Venezuela as appropriate, but also the immediate establishment of mechanisms to share information and for the development of intelligence. These are mechanisms that must enter into force immediately. Let drug trafficking groups, groups involved in fuel smuggling, and other types of smuggling know that we are taking firm steps to combat these crimes.
After Maduro's arrest, Rodriguez became Venezuela's interim leader, with the Trump administration backing her government and encouraging oil sector openings to American firms. Peru's electoral tribunal confirmed that presidential turnoff will take place on June 7th, dismissing demands for a new election in Lima despite reported irregularities during the April 12th vote. The National Jury of Elections stated that the unanimous decision to proceed with repeating the vote in Lima was made following a technical and legal review and based on reports from the relevant authorities. Rafael Lopez Aliaga, an ultra-conservative candidate and former Lima mayor, called for a new election in the capital, claiming polling issues stopped many of his supporters from voting. He also accused the electoral authority of undermining the process and urged the president to step in. Earlier on Friday, Peruvian police raided the home of Piero Corvetto, the former head of country's electoral authority, who resigned this week. Police conducted a coordinated raid in Lima targeting former electoral officials and a logistical company, investigating alleged collusion and misuse of state resources. Final first-round results are due in mid-May, with June 7 runoff between the two top candidates with 95% of votes counted. Keiko Fujimori has secured a place in runoff, while Roberto Sanchez narrowly leads Rafael Lopez Aliaga for the second spot. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has apologized to a Canadian town following a deadly mass shooting in February, saying he was deeply sorry that the company did not notify police about the killer's troubling ChatGPT account. A letter from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman was published on Friday stating that no one should ever have to endure a tragedy like this. The incident has drawn attention to OpenAI's prior actions involving an account linked to 18-year-old Jesse Van Roetseelaar, who first killed her mother and brother at home before going to a local secondary school where 5 children and a teacher were fatally shot. The company confirmed it had banned the account in June 2025 over concerns about possible violent usage approximately 8 months before the attack, but did not alert the law enforcement agencies at the time, explaining that there was no clear sign of an imminent threat. In response, Canadian officials have condemned OpenAI's handling of the situation and have summoned company leaders to Ottawa to explain their safety and reporting protocols. The European Union and United States signed an agreement on Friday to coordinate on supply of critical minerals needed for key industries, including defense. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio signed a memorandum of understanding with EU Trade Chief Maros Sefcovic. The pact marks a rare embrace by President Donald Trump's administration of the role of the European Union, which is often berated as it instead champions right-wing populists with Europe. Beijing has restricted export of critical minerals needed for products including semiconductors, electric vehicle, battery, and weapon systems. Rubio noted that the United States and the EU combined are the largest customers and users of critical minerals. An action plan said that the EU and United States would explore setting minimum prices on critical minerals, effectively preventing China or other outside powers from flooding the market with inexpensive exports. In Indonesia, policymakers are looking at India's success in food and nutrition as the country ramps up social welfare efforts. Indonesia is taking notes from the Indian model to reduce stunting rates and solve malnutrition with the end goal of building a stronger economy. DD India's Chandni Vasandani get us this report from Jakarta.
There is a clear vision in Jakarta that to fulfill the Golden Indonesia 2045 dream, the nation must first solve the riddle of malnutrition. Indonesia has already made an impressive stride of slashing stunting from nearly 31% to under 20% in just 6 years. Now, the country is also studying the Indian approach to break the intergenerational cycle of undernutrition.
India has like a good initiative as well in terms of how to integrate the ICT intervention, the POSA application, into their ICDS, integrated child development services, which is then it creates like a good platform for the health workers in front lines to make them easier in terms of identifying children at risk of stunting and wasting, and how then to make like a timely intervention before then they go to the like a severe stunting or nutrition issues.
A major bridge between the two nations is food fortification. Having launched its massive free nutritious meal scheme in January 2025, Indonesia is now looking at India's experience with large-scale food programs. Jakarta is using this new meal scheme as a strategic vehicle to introduce fortified rice to over 90 million people. The urgency to fight stunting in Indonesia comes after the realization that the cost of inaction will be far too big to bear.
It says that if we do nothing on stunting, then it will cost around like a 29 billion US dollar annually, or equal to like a 2.2% of the GNI, gross national income of Indonesia. So it's a huge amount. So that's why then we would like to really encourage as well the other stakeholders to see that putting investment in nutrition is a strategic investment. It's not only about the health or stunting, but it's much beyond it.
The stakes are massive. By adopting tech, community, and decentralized planning, Indonesia is treating nutrition as an economic priority rather than just a health issue. This is Chandni Vasandani for DD India.
Malaria is a life-threatening illness caused by Plasmodium parasite transmitted to humans through the bite of infected Anopheles mosquitoes. World Malaria Day is observed every year on April 25th to raise global awareness about the deadly effects of malaria and to promote efforts towards eradicating the disease. Preeti Kaur gets us more.
Malaria is a disease caused by parasites and spread through the bite of an infected female Anopheles mosquito. It can cause severe illness and in some cases can lead to death. Every year, nearly 200 crore people are at risk, including those living in about 90 affected countries and many international travelers. World Malaria Day, which was first commemorated in 2008, had evolved from Africa Malaria Day, which had been honored by African countries since 2001. In 2007, it was proposed that Africa Malaria Day be renamed as World Malaria Day at the 60th session of the World Health Assembly to raise awareness on malaria around the world. The theme for World Malaria Day 2026 is Driven to End Malaria, Now We Can, Now We Must. The theme highlights the urgency of using available tools to eliminate malaria and achieve a malaria-free future. Over the past decade, India has made remarkable progress in reducing malaria cases and deaths, reflecting on robust government-led programs, strong surveillance systems, and community-based interventions. Once among the world's highest malaria-burdened countries, India has demonstrated remarkable progress through sustained political will, grassroots participation, and targeted interventions. A defining milestone came in 2024 when India exited the WHO's high burden to high impact group, signaling a paradigm shift in the country's malaria trajectory. Backed by the National Framework for Malaria Elimination 2016 to 30 and the National Strategic Plan 2023 to 27, India has aligned its strategy with global standards while tailoring solutions to local needs. With an 80.5% reduction in malaria cases and 78.3% reduction in deaths between 2015 and 2023, and over 122 districts reporting zero cases, the country is racing towards achieving zero indigenous cases by 2027 and setting a global benchmark in public health elimination efforts. India reaffirms its steadfast commitment to eliminating malaria by 2030. Preeti Kaur, DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Vande Bharat Express running between Srinagar and Shri Vaishno Mata Devi Katra in Jammu and Kashmir to be extended up to Jammu Tawi from April 30th. US stocks hit a record high on US-Iran talk optimism and latest batch of earnings report. Devanshu Devangan and Shambhavi Shirsagar clinched gold with record score in the Junior Shooting World Cup. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Akshay Dongre. The Department of Fertilizer has reaffirmed that India's fertilizer security remains strong and stable and well managed, with availability consistently exceeding requirements across all major fertilizers. In a statement, the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizer indicated that data from both the recently concluded Rabi season and the current period indicate a comfortable and well-buffered supply position nationwide. The fertilizer availability remains significantly higher than the requirement. The strong supply position continues in the current fiscal year as well. For the period from 1st April to 23rd April this year, availability remains substantially higher than requirement. The government has also taken proactive steps on the global front. Indian missions abroad are actively engaged in facilitating alternate sources of supply as well. Complementing the government's efforts to diversify imports, approximately 25 lakh metric tons of urea has been secured through global tendering, strengthening supply for upcoming seasons despite the international uncertainties. Issues related to natural gas availability for domestic urea production have also been addressed. A steady supply is being maintained to fertilizer plants. The Reserve Bank of India has said it cancelled the banking license issued to Paytm Payment Bank Limited. With this, payment of Paytm has been officially barred from conducting any banking business following years of irregularity, friction, and persistent non-compliances. The license was cancelled as the affairs of the bank were conducted in a manner detrimental to the interest of the bank and its depositors. The RBI said on Friday it would make an application for winding up of the bank before the High Court. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said India and New Zealand are set to begin a new chapter in their economic relation with the upcoming free trade agreement signing, calling it a key milestone in strengthening bilateral ties. Goyal welcomed New Zealand's Minister for Trade and Investment, Todd McLeay, to India, saying the visit marks a defining moment in partnership between the two countries. In a social media post, Goyal said The proposed India-New Zealand FTA scheduled for signing on April 27 reflects shared trust, values and common vision for sustainable economic growth and mutual prosperity. The concluded agreement will provide unprecedented duty-free access for Indian exports to New Zealand while safeguarding sensitive sectors. It is also expected to strengthen economic resilience and promote inclusive growth aligned with India's national priorities. The FTA is set to enhance market access and tariff preferences for Indian exports while also serving as a gateway to oceanic and Pacific island markets. It opens opportunities for India to supply a skilled workforce and expand services in areas such as IT, engineering, healthcare, education, construction, as well as sectors like Ayush, including yoga instructors, Indian chefs, and music teachers. Vande Bharat Express, currently running between Srinagar and Shri Mata Vaishno Devi Katra in Jammu and Kashmir, will be extended up to Jammu Tawi from April 30th. Union Minister Jitendra Singh, in a social media post, and I quote him, "Good news for Jammu-Srinagar Vande Bharat Express travellers, another gift from Narendra Modi government for the people of Jammu and Kashmir." He also informed that the number of coaches has been increased to 20 from the previous 8 coaches, increasing the capacity of the train significantly. Meanwhile, the Indian Railways has introduced a specially designed Vande Bharat train for the Jammu-Srinagar rail section. The train not only retains its signature semi-high-speed capability, but also incorporates, for the first time, winterization technology that enables it to operate smoothly even in sub-zero temperatures. In view of snowy weather conditions in Jammu and Kashmir, several state-of-the-art heating systems have been integrated into the Vande Bharat Express. For the first time in Indian Railways, self-regulating heating cables have been utilized to prevent water pipelines from freezing. An embedded heating element has been installed within the main shield located in front of the driver's cabin. This technology will prevent the windshield from fogging up during periods of fog and snowfall, thereby ensuring clear visibility for the driver. This marks a first of its kind initiative within the Indian Railway network. On to business news now. Major Wall Street indices closed at fresh records as market cheered for the latest batch of earning reports and US and Iranian officials who are headed to Pakistan for expected peace talks. The S&P 500 finished up to 0.8%, a new all-time high, while the tech-rich Nasdaq Composite indexes jumped 1.6%, also a record. However, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped 0.2%. Meanwhile, oil prices dipped as optimism over potential US-Iran peace talk offset supply concerns, but were sharply higher on the week. US crude fell 1.51% to settle at $94.40 per barrel, while Brent settled at $105.33 per barrel, down 0.5% on the day. Now on to the sports news. World number 2 Carlos Alcaraz will not defend his French Open titles next month after test on his injured wrist revealed he would not be ready in time for the Grand Slam. The 7 times Grand Slam champion picked up injury in the first round of the Barcelona Open earlier this month before withdrawing from the tournament. Scans showed the issue was more serious than initially thought, after which he also withdrew from the Madrid Open. He will skip the entire clay court swing with an eye on Wimbledon in June. Alcaraz was aiming for a 3rd straight title at Roland Garros, having also won in 2024. He beat current world number 1 Jannik Sinner in last year's marathon final, which lasted 5 hours and 29 minutes. Indian shooters continued their dominance at the ISSF Junior Shooting World Cup in Cairo, Egypt, adding another gold medal to the tally on Friday. In the 10-meter air rifle mixed team event, Shambhavi Shravan Shirsagar and Devanshu Shailendra Devangan secured the gold medal. In the 25-meter rapid-fire pistol men junior event, Sameer made the final cut with an effort of 573, which gave him second spot. India currently top the medal tally with 4 gold, 5 silver and 3 bronze medals. Now that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thought on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from DD India on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Akshay Dongre. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.